Have you ever looked upon the deep stillness of the night and wondered about the hidden life that begins precisely when the visible world retreats into darkness? We are often taught to view sleep as a biological necessity, a simple shutdown required to recharge weary muscles and an overburdened mind. But within the esoteric traditions that span millennia, and particularly within the systematic teachings compiled by the great French philosopher Allan Kardec, sleep is revealed as something far more profound. It is a temporary emancipation of the spirit. It is an opportunity for the soul, temporarily unburdened by the dense constraints of the physical form, to engage in vital work, a silent, profound labor of self-repair and energetic replenishment. We speak here not of mere rest, but of a nightly return to a spiritual workshop, a journey into the hidden dimensions of our own being where the true essence of our health and destiny is shaped. The concept that the body is merely an instrument, a vessel for the intelligent principle we call the soul or spirit, is central to this understanding. And if the body is an instrument, then it follows that its posture, its gestures, and its silent alignment can either aid or hinder the soul's work during this crucial nightly interval. Among the many subtle wisdoms rediscovered and documented in the 19th century, wisdoms concerning the profound interconnection of mind, body, and the universal fluid, is a practice so simple it often goes unnoticed, yet so powerful that its consistent application can realign the very foundation of our energetic health. This practice involves nothing more complex than the intentional placement of your hands as you surrender to sleep. This is not some arbitrary superstition or mystical ritual reserved only for the initiated. Rather, it is an intelligent method of channeling the flow of the fluid vital, that primordial energy described by Kardec as the substance that links the spiritual and the material worlds. By adopting a specific, conscious posture with the hands, we offer our spirit an anchor, a fixed point of serenity that facilitates its self-healing process. It is an act of acknowledging that even in unconsciousness, we retain the ability to influence our deepest states of being. We are about to explore the philosophy and the mechanics of this simple yet transformative practice, understanding why Allan Kardec saw the disciplined use of magnetic energy, a universal force accessible to all, as the true medicine of the soul, a medicine that begins with a silent dialogue between your hands and your innermost self. Prepare to recognize your hands not as simple physical appendages, but as sophisticated portals, bridges between the seen and the unseen, capable of initiating a cycle of profound internal renovation over the course of just 9 dedicated nights. This journey asks for nothing but your presence, your intention, and the willingness to surrender to the subtle intelligence that governs your life force. The traditional medical model focuses intently on the body's physical repair during sleep, citing hormone regulation, cellular regeneration, and cognitive consolidation. While these processes are undeniably essential, they only represent the superficial layer of what truly transpires when the consciousness temporarily withdraws from the world. Drawing from the detailed accounts provided by enlightened spirits in Kardec's works, we learn that the spirit, encased during wakefulness in the semi-material envelope known as the perispirit, achieves a greater degree of lucidity and freedom during the sleep state. This relative liberty allows it to momentarily disconnect from the dense matter that binds it, and to seek out environments and associations conducive to its moral and energetic state. But crucially, this liberation is not merely for enjoyment or travel. It is fundamentally a period of intensive energetic labor. The stress, the anxieties, the moral infractions, and the emotional turbulence of the day leave subtle but real lesions upon the perispirit. These are not physical cuts, but energetic disharmonies, ruptures in the magnetic coherence that governs the connection between the soul and the physical organism. If these energetic wounds are left unaddressed, they eventually translate into chronic physical or mental malaise. The spirit, through an inherent, intelligent mechanism, uses the nocturnal period to initiate repair. This repair involves drawing in universal life forces, or the fluid vital, and working on the damaged areas of the perispirit, re-establishing the magnetic equilibrium. Think of it as a subtle detoxification of the aura. When we introduce a conscious, intentional practice, such as the specific hand posture, we are not commanding the spirit, but rather cooperating with its innate healing impulse. We are creating an optimal environment within the physical instrument, the body, that stabilizes the magnetic field. This stability acts like a quiet harbor, allowing the spirit to concentrate its forces without the constant struggle against the physical body's internal turbulence, which often manifests as restless sleep, agitated dreams, or waking tension. In essence, the intentional act of positioning the hands is a signal to the whole psycho-spiritual complex. It is safe to let go. The repairs can now begin efficiently. Without this conscious cooperation, the spirit's nightly work is often inefficient, fragmented, and incomplete, leaving one waking up feeling heavy, drained, or even more anxious than before they went to sleep. This nightly reconstruction is the soul's commitment to returning to its original state of purity and balance, and our conscious participation is the key to accelerating this profound and essential process of self-regeneration. The human hand, in its structure and function, is far more than an evolutionary tool for grasping and manipulation. It is one of the primary organs for transmitting and receiving subtle energy. This understanding is foundational to many healing arts, and Kardec's study of magnetic healing affirmed that the hands are indeed sophisticated energetic conduits. They are, in a very real sense, extensions of the perispirit, capable of focusing and directing the fluid vital. Every action we take with our hands, from offering a soothing touch to engaging in constructive labor, or even making gestures of anger or aggression, is infused with the quality of our thought and feeling, altering the magnetic fluid that streams from our palms. When we place the hands upon the body, we are not merely touching the skin, we are touching the memory of our energetic essence. Each hand is rich with nerve endings, connecting it directly to the central nervous system and, by extension, to the ethereal web of the perispirit. Within the traditions of magnetizers studied during the advent of Spiritism, the hands were recognized as possessing distinct polarities and channels that, when activated or brought into specific contact, could create powerful internal circuits. They serve as mirrors reflecting the internal landscape of our vital energy, capable of identifying where blockages or excesses lie. The simple act of uniting the hands or placing them deliberately over vital centers, such as the heart or the solar plexus, is a non-verbal command to the energy system. It is a gesture that says, cease the outward flow and commence the inward healing. These portals of transmission and reception are so potent that even the simple pressure of a hand can soothe pain, reduce anxiety, and promote a sense of deep, instantaneous calm. This is because the magnetic fluid emanating from the healer, or in this case, the sleeping individual, acts upon the cellular and perispiritual structure of the recipient, promoting realignment. By consciously engaging the hands right before the transition to sleep, we ensure that these natural energetic bridges are not left open to dispersion, but are rather directed inward, dedicating their formidable channeling capacity to the exclusive repair and replenishment of our own system. They become silent guardians of our internal energy economy, ensuring that the valuable fluid vital gathered during the day is used efficiently for the soul's nightly mission. Allan Kardec's immense contribution was to take phenomena previously dismissed as mystical, miraculous, or superstitious, and subject them to systematic, rational inquiry, establishing the principles of the Spiritist doctrine. His investigation into magnetizers and the power of healing was essential to this work. He meticulously documented that the phenomena of energy healing were not a result of supernatural intervention, but rather the operation of universal, natural laws. The concept of magnetism became central. Kardec explained that the universe is permeated by the cosmic fluid, a primordial ethereal substance. This fluid, when modified or specialized, becomes the fluid vital, the source of life for all organic beings. Every living creature possesses a quantity of this fluid, which acts as the power source for the physical body and the medium through which the spirit acts upon matter. Kardec's key insight was that the ability to channel, direct, and influence this fluid is not a special gift but a universal faculty. Every human being is, to some degree, a magnetizer, capable of influencing the fluid around them and within themselves, whether consciously or unconsciously. The difference between a simple everyday influence and a deliberate act of healing comes down to two factors: will and moral state. The more elevated, benevolent, and pure the intentions of the operator, the higher the quality of the fluid they channel. a concept termed moral fluid. True power, therefore, does not lie in an extraordinary personal talent, but in the disposition of the individual to act as a clean channel. When the heart is motivated by selfless love, serenity, and a sincere desire for alignment, the fluid that passes through the hands and into the body is imbued with a higher, more transformative quality. This profound law demystifies the entire process. Sleeping with your hands in a specific, intentional posture is simply an exercise in conscious, intelligent fluid direction. It is a practical application of a universal law, proving that the greatest power of healing lies within the self, waiting for the spirit to assume the responsibility of being a clear, receptive vessel for the divine energy that sustains and regenerates all life. It is the recognition that the power to heal is part of our inherent spiritual heritage. The intentional positioning of the hands, such as uniting the palms, crossing them over the heart, or interlocking the fingers, serves a critical energetic function. It establishes a closed magnetic circuit. During the day, our energy is constantly outgoing and dispersed. We project our energy outward through our gaze, our words, and our actions. We are perpetually giving, defending, and interacting, which leads to a natural state of energetic depletion or fragmentation by the time we retire for the night. The concept of the closed loop is a highly sophisticated form of energetic conservation and redirection. When the circuit is closed, the energy that would normally be lost to the external environment is instead rerouted back into the deepest core of the system. Imagine your personal fluid vital as water in a container. Throughout the day, the tap is open and the water level drops. The closed-loop posture is like turning the tap off and simultaneously activating a silent internal pump that redirects any seepage back into the main reservoir. This action has multiple simultaneous benefits. First, it halts the energetic bleeding that occurs when the perispirit is fatigued or distressed. Second, it allows the concentrated fluid to work effectively on areas of the body or the perispirit that are energetically depleted or disharmonious. Kardec's teachings explain that the perispirit acts as the vehicle of thought and the transmitter of sensation between the physical body and the spirit. By stabilizing the magnetic flow within the perispirit, the closed loop helps to repair the subtle tears that lead to chronic tension and imbalance. This internal circulation is a process of deep self-magnetization. The hands, now acting as powerful poles of a self-generating battery, focus the energy, turning the entire body into a calm, contained field. This containment is essential for the soul's nightly work of reconstruction, providing it with the necessary, undisturbed concentration of vital fluid needed to mend and realign. It is an act of energetic self-sovereignty, declaring that for this sacred period of rest, all vital resources will be dedicated solely to the restoration of the inner temple. While the physical posture of the hands provides the necessary energetic mechanics, the true engine of this practice lies in the quality and focus of the intention. Kardec meticulously distinguished between external ritual and internal spiritual reality. He taught that spiritual effect is not generated by the outward form, the words recited, the garments worn, or the precise angles of the body, but entirely by the purity of the thought and the serenity of the soul that drives the action. When we speak of intention in this context, we are talking about a conscious, quiet command from the spirit to the magnetic fluid. As every thought is a vibration, a mental form that acts upon the fluid universal, a clear intention transforms the raw fluid vital into a refined, therapeutic, moral fluid. If the hands are placed in the correct posture, but the mind is raging with resentment, fear, or self-criticism, the energy channeled back into the system will be of a low, discordant quality, potentially exacerbating the very problems one seeks to heal. Conversely, if the hands are merely resting in a comfortable position, but the intention is a deep, profound surrender to self-healing, coupled with a feeling of benevolent peace, the quality of the magnetic action will be sublime. The posture, therefore, serves as a powerful aide-memoire, a physical reminder that helps to anchor the mind in the desired state of openness and trust. It provides a focal point that assists the consciousness in achieving that crucial state of inner serenity. This state, which Kardec affirmed was mandatory for effective fluid direction, is where the channel is clean and the vibration is elevated. The practice is not about trying to force a miracle, but about entering into a state of active receptivity, whispering a silent message to the universe. I am ready to receive the healing energy that flows through me. I surrender to the process of divine order. This mental disposition, this silent, profound acceptance, is the true act that consecrates the gesture and opens the deep internal mechanisms of spiritual and energetic alignment. To fully appreciate the wisdom embedded in this simple hand posture, we must pause to consider the esoteric significance attributed to each of the 5 fingers. Across many ancient systems, the fingers are viewed as conduits, each one linked to specific subtle energy centers, or chakras, and thus to different aspects of the human personality and spiritual force. This understanding adds layers of profound meaning to the act of joining or resting the hands upon the body. The thumb, the most powerful and mobile digit, is universally associated with willpower and the inner drive. It represents the ego, the personal force, and our capacity for directed action in the material world. The index finger is traditionally connected to thought and direction. It is the finger of indication, focus, and clarity of mind. The middle finger, the longest, symbolizes balance, centrality, and responsibility, representing the equilibrium of the entire being. The ring finger, often the finger for wedding bands, carries the energy of affection, love, and relationships, vibrating with the magnetic ties that bind us to others. Finally, the little finger, or pinky, the most delicate, is connected to intuition, communication, and the subtle expression of the soul, our connection to the higher self and the divine. When the hands are brought together or rested in a unifying posture, this action is a non-verbal command to these 5 core forces within. It is an intentional call for the will, the thought, the balance, the love, and the soul's expression to cease their individual striving and to cooperate harmoniously. Instead of allowing these forces to scatter and pull the inner self in different directions during the freedom of sleep, we compel them into a unified, coherent action aimed entirely at reconstruction. This convergence creates a powerful resonance, amplifying the flow of fluid vital and ensuring that the self-magnetization process is holistic, touching every aspect of the spirit's influence over the physical form. The specific recommendation to undertake this intentional practice for 9 consecutive nights is not arbitrary. It is rooted in universal numerology and the deep wisdom of energetic cycles. The number 9 holds immense spiritual significance, representing completion, fulfillment, and initiation. It symbolizes the end of one cycle of experience and the gestation phase before the birth of a new state of being. The Spiritist philosophy, while not dogmatic about rituals, recognizes the profound psychological and energetic impact of cyclical practice. Just as 9 months mark the gestation of a human life, 9 nights provide the necessary duration for the intention to move beyond a mere conscious effort and sink into the subconscious memory of the soul. The practice begins as a curiosity, a mechanical gesture on the first night. By the 3rd or 4th night, it becomes a conscious discipline, a repeated effort of focusing the will, but by the time the cycle approaches its close, the gesture has transformed into a profound spiritual habit. The body begins to remember the feeling of alignment and peace. The energetic pathways, once blocked or turbulent, become accustomed to the smooth, contained flow generated by the posture and the intention. This transition from a deliberate action to an automatic inherent state of being is the true objective of the 9-night discipline. It is a period of training the perispirit to maintain coherence, teaching the nervous system to trust the feeling of deep inner repose, and instructing the mind to finally let go of the need for constant external control. The 9-night commitment symbolizes an act of faith in the self-healing process, affirming to the universe that you are dedicated to seeing this cycle of personal transformation through to its energetic fulfillment. This commitment activates the law of consequence. What you give in focused effort and intention will return to you in restored harmony and clarity. Perhaps the greatest philosophical challenge of this practice is the concept of surrender. The rational modern mind is conditioned to believe that results must be directly proportional to effort, action, and control. We want to feel the energy, to see the immediate proof, and to control the outcome. Yet the subtle forces of spiritual magnetism, as described by Kardec, operate according to a different rhythm, the rhythm of trust and acceptance. The act of lying down with intentional hands is an act of letting go. It is allowing the energy to find you and do its work without the constant distracting interference of the ego's anxiety or impatience. Healing, in this context, is less about an aggressive fight against illness and more about returning to a state of natural order. The fluid vital acts in a quiet, profound manner, comparable to the silent growth of a seed beneath the earth. You do not see the seed germinate daily, yet you know that the transformative process is continuous and relentless. Similarly, the energy flowing through the closed circuit of your hands works consistently on the deeper layers of your being. It moves through the energetic disruptions in the perispirit, subtly balancing areas of excess and filling voids of depletion. Where there was once a feverish anxiety, there arises a gentle calm. Where there was a sense of emptiness, there begins to flow a quiet fullness. The true measure of the practice is often only noticed upon waking. A slightly lighter heart, a deeper sense of perspective, a greater capacity for patience, or a spontaneous moment of peace. The commitment to the 9 nights is simply the establishment of this habit of surrender, teaching the system that it is safe to trust the inner wisdom. It is a profound acknowledgement that the power to heal is an inherent function of the universe, and our role is merely to be a willing, silent receiver. As the magnetic self-healing process deepens, particularly within the dedicated 9-night cycle, it is common to experience a phase of energetic purification or cleansing. This phenomenon is a natural consequence of the fluid vital forcefully removing accumulated moral and emotional debris from the perispirit. When a powerful harmonious current is introduced to a system filled with old blockages, such as long-held resentments, unexpressed grief, or deeply internalized fears, the confrontation can be intense. This purification often manifests as unexplained tears upon waking, fleeting moments of profound sadness, vivid and intense dreams that recall forgotten traumas, or even physical discomforts like transient aches or headaches. It is vital to understand, based on Kardec's studies of the spirit's influence on the body, that these manifestations are not signs of failure or a worsening condition. They are the tangible proof of the cleaning process in action. The emotional discharge represents the soul releasing the negative energetic forms it has been carrying. The spiritual law suggests that the spirit often holds on to pain or regret, sometimes across multiple lifetimes, which weighs down the perispirit. When the intentional practice provides a powerful, loving, and safe channel for release, the soul will seize the opportunity to let go. The proper response is not fear or resistance, but compassionate acceptance. You must silently affirm the process, viewing the tears as cleansing rain and the intense emotions as rivers finally returning to their natural course. This purification stage is the most powerful evidence that the practice is working on the deepest, most necessary level. It is not merely managing symptoms, but removing the root energetic causes of disharmony, transforming pain into spiritual wisdom, and clearing the channel for a flow of higher quality, morally elevated fluid. Ultimately, the goal of this nightly discipline is what Kardec termed the restoration of order, a concept far grander than mere physical health. True healing, in the spiritist view, is the re-establishment of the fundamental harmony between the material body and the guiding spirit. The fluid vital is the intermediary that ensures this synchronicity. Throughout life, the spirit is often pulled away from its true path by material distractions, emotional turbulence, and moral missteps. This dissonance creates a state of disequilibrium, manifesting as anxiety, confusion, and eventually physical ailment. When the hands are used to create the closed magnetic circuit, and the intention is set to receive and contain peaceful fluid, the body and perispirit are gradually brought back into alignment. The practice is like taking a powerful instrument that has been played out of tune and gently returning it to its perfect pitch. Kardec observed that the magnetic current, imbued with high moral sentiment, the moral fluid, acts powerfully upon the spirit, pacifying its agitations and clarifying its thoughts. By calming the spirit, the magnetic action relaxes its grip on the nervous system and the physical organs, allowing the body's innate self-healing functions to proceed without obstruction. This return to inner harmony is experienced not just as an absence of pain, but as an overwhelming sense of coherence. The mind, the heart, and the actions begin to move in unison. The individual awakens with a sense of perspective, patience, and purpose that was previously obscured by internal noise. The legacy of this practice is not just a technique for better sleep, but a living example of Kardec's most profound teaching, that the health of the body is ultimately governed by the moral and energetic state of the spirit, and that the path to profound wellness begins with an intelligent, self-directed act of reconciliation with the self. As we conclude this exploration of the simplest yet most profound self-healing practice, it is essential to look beyond the mechanics and embrace the underlying philosophy. The 9 nights of intentional repose are not the destination, but the initiation. They represent a profound declaration of self-love and a conscious recognition of the truth that Allan Kardec spent his life illuminating, that the power to evolve and to heal resides entirely within the spirit itself. You are not a helpless recipient of external forces. You are the sovereign director of your own energetic field. The simple act of resting your hands with love is a silent conversation with your soul, a gesture of profound trust that the universe acts through you. By creating that internal closed magnetic circuit, you are establishing a new default, a habit of harmony that transcends the conscious hours of the day. The serenity cultivated in the dark will inevitably begin to illuminate your waking life. You will find that external challenges do not vanish, but your response to them shifts. The turbulence that once consumed you will now flow past with lesser power. This is the enduring legacy of intelligent spiritual practice. It is the realization that the body is not a burden to be carried, but a precious compass, constantly orienting the spirit toward its ultimate state of love, balance, and perennial health. Go forth and practice not as an obligation, but as an act of intimate, loving self-recollection, for the greatest mysteries are often unlocked by the simplest keys.